Thank you, everyone, for joining me. I'm going to invite each of you to take a nice deep breath, please. So I want to welcome you to being here with me during this majestic sovereign time. What I'm going to be speaking with you about during this segment is shifting from chosen to sovereign. And I know that's something that we've been focusing on quite a bit for this particular series. And the reason why I want to focus more on the shift today, again, because there are tremendous benefits. The core objective that I'm feeling guided to address is witchcraft immunity for sovereign ones. And when you start to make the shift from just being chosen to sovereign, some of the benefits are is that you move up in your higher authority and you're able to command your life from that place of sovereignty. And so as you expand, what tends to happen is a lot of the attacks and contrast on a certain level starts to dissipate, or you're affected by it differently if it should show up. Now, typically, when you're in the chosen one framework, a lot of times there is heavy witchcraft, heavy warlock activities. And while there are some teachings out there that say you are immune to it as a chosen one, I have found that the immunity actually comes at a greater advantage, if you will. It seems to be more heightened security when you are actually in the chosen one framework. So if you have felt that some of the witchcraft and warlock activity has started to dissipate, that really means that you have expanded, you have evolved, and you are actually transitioning more into the sovereign one seat, if you will. And a lot of other things take place when you make this shift. Not only does the witchcraft activity drop off, but also other individuals that no longer serve your highest and best good for what's emerging for you, that drops off. And even though that's something that typically bounces off as well, even in the chosen one framework, but in the sovereign seat, it's more seamless, so to speak. And again, different things may emerge, but they don't impact your livelihood in the ways that they once had. The witchcraft attacks and even being able to, let's say, do destiny swapping and sitting on your finances a certain way, that doesn't hold in the sovereign space. So if more recently you've seen some improvements in certain areas, or you are preparing for greater improvements, and there's something about this time for you that it feels like it's going to hold, like it's going to last, where in other seasons you were struggling to stay afloat and struggling to hold on to the resources. And I actually talk about this in another segment about you shifting from the season of struggle, into really sovereign success. And so with all the heavy attacks that have come from the occultic world, especially over the last 3 years, those who have been shifting into sovereignty and have been in the chosen one's template are the ones who have significantly been hit, the ones who have been having to break generational curses, curses of all kinds. And based on this witchcraft and occultic activity, it's been strong, it has been heavy. And most of the time you have been immune to it, but you still would have some effects, more so like if you have on a bulletproof vest and you take a hit and you feel the impact to a certain extent, but it actually doesn't injure you because you have that cover and protection, but you still were having to deal with such the intensity of those types of attacks, those types of launchings towards you. And again, binding up your finances, your health, a lot of different areas that you were still challenged with, even though you were still being able to move forward. And it wasn't taking you out, so to speak, even though the intensity very much could have taken you out. But because there's a sovereign divine plan for your life and that you've been being prepared for, you've been protected, you've been covered, you've been able to shield off those types of attacks. If you've been putting on the full armor of God, you have been able to really take your stand against those types of demonic schemes. But as you shift more, again, from being just chosen to now being sovereign, you will see the increase of that immunity happen for you to take place. It's going to be almost as if you have ascended above that realm where the witchcraft could penetrate. It's like being raptured from that trajectory that still holds a lot of that activity that is allowed to sort of come through in a certain way, more so for your growth and building resilience and faith, and also unleashing and extracting, if you will, the deeper power that's within you. If you want to call it a superpower, super divine intelligence, power that's emerging. It's part of your unique encoding. It's part of what makes you not just chosen, but sovereign. That's where your greater gifts are. And so a lot of the attacks over the years and different activity has been designed to extract the best from you. Diamonds demand pressure. But now that more of your fuller potential and extraction has come forth, you have immunity from that type of activity. But it is only when you have made the shift into your true sovereign essence. This is where you can command whatever is showing up. You get to leverage the totality of your experience. You get to create with even the contrast for it to be the very catalyst that catapults you. And though that's shared, even in the the chosen one template, in a sense, most are finding that they're not actually able to really leverage that effectively. And so it's warding off attack after attack, still constantly waiting to be powerful. It's like hearing about your powers and your gifts, but not being able to fully utilize them, not being able to demonstrate how you, being as powerful as you are, to be able to really repel witchcraft, that type of activity. So when you move past just the chosen one, because sometimes it's like expected that that's going to be happening, and it becomes part of a vibration, if you will, where it's almost like you're expecting that to happen, and to even feel like you're even more alert and aware and powerful. It's almost like having these different tests and activities that keep coming, something you have to still keep fighting or defending yourself against. And that's part of that template. That is part of what's being taught out there. But again, shifting more into your sovereign way of beingness, that realm of activity can't impact you. Again, it's like a repellent. It resists that type of activity. So there is no real secret formula, so to speak, to really embody this, or a process, so to speak. It's more of an awareness of the light bulb coming on and realizing, wait a minute, I've been being prepared over time, which means that my anatomy now has been weaponized. It's turned into a weapon itself. In my sovereignty, I am a weapon. My hands have been trained for battle. I am one with the full armor of God. And therefore, what can stand, what can penetrate this level of embodiment? So again, when you are in your sovereignty, there are tremendous benefits. So you don't have to worry about consistently trying to fight battles. Now, let me say this. That doesn't mean that you become lackadaisical in a sense and you don't still put on your full armor. You have to still align consistently with that awareness. And just like anything, if you have a weapon, you have to use it. And even if your anatomy is a weapon, you have to activate that for sure. But you also have to be consistent with that awareness. So if you go out on a battlefield, so to speak, you may have weapons, but they still have to be used, right? And so my point in saying that is, again, you have to still consciously choose to be aware of that armor. And just know that it is there. And you do not have to go through worrying like maybe before, where there's the constant being on the lookout, in a sense, thinking something's going to possibly be coming against you, especially as you move closer to having a breakthrough. There's almost this conditioning, especially in Christianity, where there seems to be some teachings as if you can't just have a breakthrough that is a sweatless victory. It's almost like there's always the introduction that when you get a blessing, something bad has to happen or something else comes in. Where when you shift more into sovereignty, because you've had such intensity of that type of activity, even leading up to your breakthroughs, you make the shift, the rules of engagement, they start to change. You don't have to be sort of waiting for the other shoe to drop. And this is where the activation, in a sense, of your weapon anatomy, and I do extensive teachings on this, but where your weapon anatomy comes forth. And again, that immunity from that level of satanic and demonic activity, occultic activity, being able to really penetrate your atmosphere, if you will, as the breakthrough is emerging and when it's in fuller manifestation. So we have to start shifting our mindsets as we are still aware of activities and things that potentially could take place, but we have to renew our minds for sure that no, as you are going through, when I say going into this next season, that it will be a sweatless victory for you. That what you were fighting before, you're not going to have to fight. As we learn in Exodus, in terms of the enemies you see today, you shall see no more. Can you imagine a life without witchcraft activity actually being able to have some type of effect, even if it is on your mind? Now, again, I'm not saying that certain things may not still be coming towards you, against you, so to speak, but no weapon formed against you shall prosper. And you get to fully live this in actualization of no more sorcery around your success, no more witchcraft on your wealth, no more foes being able to cause you to forfeit the finances that are here for you now. So as you are making more of your transition into embodying this sovereign way of being, again, this is what comes with that package. And as I've said in several segments, you reach this point in evolution where labels are not that deep for you. But as I've been saying, but if you are going to categorize yourself in a framework, then being in the sovereign one's template, which is customized to you, that is what you want to be embracing, embodying, and exuding. So I'm extremely excited because this is definitely a new chapter. And it is the one you've actually been preparing for. But again, being in that chosen one template actually is keeping you out of all that you have been preparing for, to even get the clarity, the wisdom, the knowledge, the insights around how you actually should be moving forward and how you leverage your co-creative power during this time. So wouldn't it, or I should say for some of you already, doesn't it feel nice to be out of the consistent preparation and initiations? and to know that you have completely changed. I mean, when you're able to repel witchcraft without, wait a minute, without having to do extensive prayers and different things, you have become immune. You have become the weapon. And it is just consistently your awareness and putting on the full armor of God in that way. Mm. Now that is majestic because it's a different level of supernatural security, which will lead you to supernatural success because you can walk through parted Red Seas onto dry land. Walls of Jericho will crumble at your very presence, your very essence, because sovereignty sets the atmosphere. It sets the tone. It commands the space, the reality. It shifts things according to what's going to be in the best interest of that sovereign one. So my core objective here during this time was to bring the awareness. As I mentioned, I do more extensive teachings in terms of having a weapon's anatomy. But this is enough for you to be able to sit with and to activate this way of being. As I said, it's not really a secret formula, especially when it's individualized. But there are levels of activations, I should say, and understanding your anatomy in this way. But initially, just to awaken it, especially as you are crossing over, if you will, into a new chapter, a new season of sovereignty. This is definitely enough to cover you and to help you be more hopeful and optimistic. And I shouldn't even say hopeful. But again, it's just awareness. It's you knowing you have a certain level of authority now. And it's time to operate from this sovereign way of being and let these demons and warlocks, these witches, let them know. Witch, please, don't try me. Because my essence is enough to bring down altars, covens. So take that demonic entourage, in a sense, and flee, because you can declare that my essence, my sovereign essence, is resisting you. And as scripture says, we resist the devil and he shall flee. He shall flee. So with that being said, I'm going to bring this rendering to a close. As always, check the description for helpful resources. And I am most certainly looking forward to being back with you soon. Take care and stay blessed.